Welcome to our countdown of the 10 largest fruits and vegetables in the world, where a lemon bigger than your head only ranks 7th and the number 1 spot, weighing in at a staggering 1,226 kilograms, would shock any seasoned gardener. In our eyes, fruits and vegetables might just be side dishes on the dinner table or frequent guests in the refrigerator. But you would never imagine that in the hands of some fanatical gardening masters, they could evolve to this extent. From a Shandong green onion taller than Yao Ming to a cabbage that 300 people couldn't finish, and a zucchini equivalent to the weight of 2 teenagers. The size of these vegetables has completely overturned people's perceptions. Among these giants, which ones make it in the top 10? Today, join us as we look at the 10 largest fruits and vegetables in the world, each one more astonishing in size than the last. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button. Coming in at number 10 is the carrot. This carrot you're looking at, which seems to have come alive, is the Guinness World Record holder for the world's largest carrot. Its owner is Chris Qualley, a man from Minnesota, USA. This monster carrot weighs about 10.2 kilograms, and its main body looks as if it's been tied up by its own countless tentacles, giving it a comical and funny appearance. You might not believe it, but the person who grew such a massive carrot is not some horticultural expert, but an ordinary financial worker. Chris only started gardening in 2014 and quickly fell in love with the sense of peace that cultivation brings. He began to challenge himself by researching giant vegetables, and, as it turns out, Chris is indeed a talented individual. After just 1 year of research, he successfully grew a large carrot weighing about 5.3 kilograms. At the time, the Guinness World Record was 9.1 kilograms. To break this record, Chris began to meticulously study soil nutrition and moisture, paying close attention to sunlight and temperature, as carefully as if he were caring for a child. Hard work pays off. After 9 months of effort, Chris finally grew the giant carrot he had been dreaming of, weighing a full 10.2 kilograms and breaking the world record in one fell swoop. Besides the giant carrot, Chris also tried growing giant watermelons, tomatoes, and pumpkins. It's worth mentioning that the giant pumpkin Chris grew weighed a whopping 870.2 kilograms, heavier than a giant peninsular brown bear. One has to admit, Chris is truly a gardening genius held back by a career in finance. Besides Chris, another gentleman, Joe Atherton from Nottinghamshire, UK, is also very skilled at growing carrots. However, rather than weight, Joe focuses on the carrot's length. He is a true king of vegetable growing in his local area, having personally cultivated 3 types of giant vegetables that all broke Guinness World Records. The carrot he grew is the longest in the world, measuring a full 5.7 meters, equivalent to the height of a 2-story building. Looking at these giant carrots, you can understand the feeling of pure astonishment. Such a size is simply incredible. At number 9, we have the green onion. Proud of your 1.8 meter height? Turns out, you're not even as tall as this green onion. This is no joke. The onion you're looking at is the Shandong green onion, known as the king of onions. It measures a full 2.68 meters. Even basketball star Yao Ming would have to look up to say hello to it. After seeing this onion, netizens from mainland China couldn't help but joke about it. Zhangqiu's green onions are so large, they won't even fit in a traditional iron wok. It seems the term Shandong giants is no exaggeration. Even their green onions reach incredible heights. A green onion grown south of the Yangtze is just a green onion, but one grown in Zhangqiu is practically a tree. Dietary needs and unique geographical conditions have combined to create the people of Shandong's almost obsessive pursuit of giant vegetables. The Dewudong variety of Zhangqiu green onion can grow to a height of over 1.35 meters, which is 2 to 3 times taller than a conventional green onion plant. Almost every year, Zhangqiu hosts a Green Onion King competition. And for the past few years, farmer Miao Fayong's green onions have been getting taller and taller, repeatedly breaking his own world records. His lowest winning entry still measured an incredible 2.44 meters. When you think about it, a 1.8 meter tall green onion wouldn't even have the courage to enter the competition in Shandong. So we've covered height. Now let's talk about weight. What this gentleman is holding isn't some new type of vegetable. It's a relative of the green onion, a leek. However, the size of this particular leek is the plus-size version of a regular one. It weighs a hefty 10 kilograms, and cradling it feels just like holding an infant. At the 2015 UK National Giant Vegetables Championship, a British man named Paul Rochester used this supersized leek to shatter the world record. Number 8. The banana. Just how big is the world's largest banana? The answer might be beyond your wildest imagination. This massive banana measures a full 30 centimeters long and is about as thick as a woman's forearm. It tips the scales at 2 kilograms. You couldn't possibly finish it in one sitting. Let's compare it to a regular banana. One look, and you'll realize that if you finish this banana, you probably won't need to eat for the rest of the day. This giant variety of banana originates from New Guinea. Locals there treat bananas as a staple food, which is why they have a fondness for cultivating these massive fruits. A banana that takes 4 people to finish is actually quite common there. To grow a giant banana, you first need the world's largest banana plant, and that would be the one you're looking at now, the Musa Indians. Its translated name is incredibly impressive, the giant highland banana. The pseudostem of this banana plant can reach 15 meters, and with its leaves, the total height can surpass 20 meters. That's nearly as tall as a 7-story building. Calling it the skyscraper of the herbaceous plant world is no exaggeration at all. But banana aficionados don't get too excited. Generally speaking, the larger the fruit, the worse it tends to taste. This is especially true for the bananas of New Guinea. Compared to the sweet bananas we buy from the store, the flavor is vastly different. While their bananas may be large, they are practically tasteless, like chewing on wax. They serve purely to fill the stomach. Aside from sheer volume, some bananas are all about managing their figure. They grow long and slender without getting thick. The current world record for the longest banana measures an impressive 60 centimeters, nearly the length of a human arm. Number 7. The lemon. Usually, a lemon the size of your palm is considered a pretty big fruit. But would you believe that this lemon, so large it hardly looks like it came from this planet, was grown by a gardener from Israel named Aaron? This lemon had a circumference of 74 centimeters, was 35 centimeters long, and weighed 5.3 kilograms. That's bigger than a human head. Just looking at it is enough to make your teeth ache from the sourness. So how did Aaron manage to grow such a massive lemon? Well, it had a lot to do with Israel's unique climate. Israel is a subtropical country with a Mediterranean climate. Summers are hot and dry, while winters are cool and rainy. And as it turns out, citrus fruits thrive in these conditions, which makes it naturally easier to cultivate larger specimens. In fact, back in 2003, another Israeli farmer, Aaron Schemmel, a miracle was once achieved when a 5-kilogram lemon was grown. Years later, a man named Aaron shattered the world record by cultivating a lemon weighing a staggering 5.3 kilograms. Based on this trend, it seems Israeli farmers might just set a new world record again soon. Now, the wrinkled lemon you're looking at might not compare to Aaron's colossal creation, but it is, without a doubt, the largest lemon you can find on the market. Hailing from Matawa in Tibet, this lemon is 5 times longer and 3 times wider than its ordinary counterpart. If you tossed it into a pile of papayas, you'd be hard-pressed to spot the difference. It's like an undercover agent from another fruit family that fell in love with a lemon and gave birth to this strange hybrid. And if you're thinking a lemon this massive must be bursting with juicy pulp, I'm sorry to disappoint you. This giant is mostly just a massive peel with a pitifully small amount of flesh inside. You wouldn't even know where to begin trying to juice it. In fact, this lemon can be eaten raw. Alternatively, it can be peeled, dried, and steeped in water to make a tea that is said to regulate qi, relieve bloating, and reduce phlegm. So, compared to that head-sized lemon from Israel, aren't you more curious to try this giant lemon peel? Coming in at number 6, the orange. A staple in our daily lives, oranges are prized for their versatility. Eat them fresh, juice them, or turn them into preserves and wine. But you probably can't imagine that a fruit that typically fits in your palm could, under the right conditions, grow to this monstrous size. What looks like a giant boulder is actually the world's largest orange. Or, to be more precise, the orange with the largest circumference in the world, measuring an incredible 63.5 centimeters. This behemoth was grown by a couple in their own garden in Fresno, California. Just imagine how much juice you could get out of this thing and how much it would sell for. But what about the taste? You've probably already guessed it. An orange this enormous is unlikely to be very flavorful. And now that we've seen the largest, let's pivot to the world's smallest orange. It's called the pearl orange, a plant scientifically known as Nertera granadiensis. It's widely cultivated in South America, parts of Taiwan, the Philippines, and Australia. Strictly speaking, however, it only shares a name with the fruit. It's not a true orange at all. A single pot can yield thousands of these tiny oranges, making it resemble a succulent. It's a stunning reminder of how magical nature can be, creating such a dramatic difference between the largest and the smallest. Truly marvelous. And at number 5, we have the cabbage. Before we unveil the world's largest cabbage, let's set the scene with a little story. The Tanana Valley State Fair is the oldest state fair in Alaska. Held every summer in Fairbanks since 1924, this fair has a very interesting main event, a giant vegetable competition. Contestants from all over bring their homegrown, supersized cabbages, pumpkins, and radishes to see who has grown the biggest of them all. Of course, a peculiar competition like this wasn't created just so people could add a little excitement to their lives, or simply celebrating a harvest. Instead, it's connected to a very special place in the United States known as the Giant Vegetable Valley. Let's turn back the clock to 1970, when the United States announced to the world that a certain valley in Alaska possessed some extraordinary abilities. Vegetables grown here could reach sizes more than 10 times larger than those from ordinary growing regions. In fact, it produced many giant vegetables that broke world records. This valley is called the Matanuska Valley, located northeast of Anchorage. Because of the gigantic vegetables it produces, it's also known as the Giant Vegetable Valley. At the time, the news was somewhat exaggerated, claiming that you could grow pumpkins the size of a house, potatoes the size of basketballs, and cucumbers taller than a person. In reality, while some descriptions were indeed over the top, the Giant Vegetable Valley truly exists. And the appearance of giant vegetables here is not a rare, random event. It happens frequently. Giant cabbages like this one are commonplace in the valley. For a long time, the world's largest vegetables almost all came from this very place. So, why do the vegetables in the Giant Vegetable Valley grow so large? Initially, people suspected that the farmers here were using different kinds of seeds, planting seeds specifically for giant crops. However, after researchers investigated, they found that apart from their enormous size, the vegetables were no different from ordinary ones. Furthermore, when seeds from these mature, giant vegetables were planted in a different location, the resulting vegetables grew smaller with each generation, until they were about the same size as normal vegetables. Conversely, if you take seeds from the outside world and plant them in the Giant Vegetable Valley, after about 3 generations of cultivation, the vegetables will grow to immense sizes. From this, it seems clear that the reason the Giant Vegetable Valley grows such large vegetables has nothing to do with the seeds. It's all about the location itself. Some have speculated that because it's a high-latitude region with long hours of daylight, plus water that is denser than water elsewhere, the water and soil conditions are closer to those of a prehistoric era. And that's why the vegetables here grow so large. Unfortunately, to this day, scientists have not found the exact reason why the Giant Vegetable Valley produces such enormous vegetables. They've only offered some possible theories. However, the vegetables from the valley can only be considered uniformly massive. If we were to hold a worldwide competition, the sheer size of a single specimen might not claim the top spot anymore. Take, for example, this 72-year-old man, Brian Calder, from the town of Forfar in Angus, UK. He grew a cabbage with a diameter of about 1.5 meters. That's 50 times the size of a normal cabbage. You need a wheelbarrow just to move it. If you were to make vegetable soup with it, it would be enough to feed 300 people. At this rate, the farmers from the Giant Vegetable Valley might have to come to Brian for some tips. Old friend, how did you grow such a massive cabbage? In truth, Brian has no special secret. He's been gardening for over 50 years and has never seen a cabbage this big. According to Brian himself, He didn't use any special methods, nor did he add extra fertilizer. And unlike the owners of other giant fruits and vegetables, he didn't give it any special, meticulous care. It was just this naturally gifted cabbage that grew rapidly from the moment it was planted. Experts explain that growing a vegetable of this size was likely related to the unusually hot and humid weather that summer. Coming in at number 4, the zucchini. Why does this giant winter melon look so wrinkled? Actually, it's not a winter melon at all, but a zucchini. Zucchini is an annual vining plant in the gourd family, genus Cucurbita. A normal-sized zucchini grows to a maximum of 3 kilograms, with a length not exceeding 30 centimeters and a diameter no more than 10 centimeters. However, this giant zucchini weighs 100 kilograms, almost equivalent to the weight of 2 teenagers, breaking the 2015 world record for a giant zucchini. Perhaps because it grew too fast, its surface is covered with stretch marks, giving this behemoth a wrinkled appearance. Furthermore, compared to ordinary zucchinis, this giant one has a thick and hard skin, suggesting it's another vegetable that doesn't taste ideal. Like other fruits and vegetables, zucchinis also have their own long-legged champions. For instance, the zucchini held by this man from Ontario, Canada, measures an astonishing 2.4 meters long, nearly as tall as the eaves of his house. The man, named Henry D'Angela, has already submitted an application to the Guinness World Records, hoping it will be recognized as the world's longest zucchini. Before this, the officially certified world's longest zucchini also came from Ontario, Canada, and was also 2.4 meters long. However, Henry's zucchini has a diameter of 0.12 meters, while the previous record holder's was only 0.08 meters in diameter, slightly smaller than Henry's. When asked how to grow such a long zucchini, Henry, full of experience, explained that zucchinis are plants that love water and sunlight, so they must be given plenty of water and sufficient sun exposure. It seems that the growing conditions required for these giant vegetables are all quite similar. Number 3, the potato. In 2021, on a small farm near Hamilton, New Zealand, a couple named Colin and Donna Craig Brown discovered a massive potato in their field. After weighing it, they found this giant weighed 17 pounds, about 7.7 kilograms, roughly the weight of a small dog. Although the potato had a wild and unruly shape, Colin and Donna didn't dislike it for its ugliness. Instead, they named this incredibly ugly potato Doug. The story then gets interesting, because most people have never seen such a large potato, and the Guinness World Record for the largest potato at the time was only 5 kilograms. The one they dug up was more than 1.5 times the world record. So, the couple specially built a small cart just to pull Doug around and show it off to their neighbors. After all, Doug was destined to be a world record-breaking potato. As it turns out, celebrating too early is never a good idea. After applying for the world record and submitting photos of Doug as required, they finally received an email from Guinness a few months later. Unfortunately, it was bad news. While Doug's size was indeed much larger than the world's largest potato, Doug was not a potato at all, but a tuber of a gourd. How embarrassing. So, to this day, the world's largest potato is still the 5-kilogram one grown by a Brit in 2017. Number 2, the watermelon. What does the world's largest watermelon taste like? In October 2013, a man from Tennessee, USA, named Chris Kent, harvested an incredibly huge watermelon. It weighed a staggering 350.5 pounds, about 158 kilograms. If you put on a scale, 2 of Chris himself might not weigh as much as the watermelon. Chris took his watermelon to the official competition of the authoritative organization, the Great Pumpkin Commonwealth. In the end, his giant watermelon won the championship with its unrivaled size. Chris mentioned that this was the second time he had grown a watermelon king, having also won the competition in 2012. The Great Pumpkin Commonwealth is the world's leading organization for certifying giant vegetables and fruits, holding annual competitions and inviting experts to weigh and judge the champions. Winning the Great Pumpkin Commonwealth Championship is a great honor for growers. Chris seized the opportunity, putting the seeds of his Watermelon King up for sale on his fruit and vegetable growing website. However, after tasting it himself, Chris admitted that besides its shocking weight, his giant watermelon had few other merits. It wasn't as sweet as a regular watermelon and had a slightly rough texture, making it far from a sweet and delicious fruit. Number 1, the pumpkin. After seeing so many oversized fruits and vegetables, have you gained a new understanding of the term giant produce? Don't be too quick to decide, because the next contestant completely overshadows all the previous ones. This is the true behemoth. Growing a pumpkin of nearly 300 kilograms in an ordinary garden would already be considered a giant. After all, that weight is comparable to 3 market-ready pigs and could feed over 200 people. In fact, this weight is nothing compared to the world's largest pumpkin. An Italian man named Stefano Cutruppi cultivated a monster pumpkin that weighed in at a massive 2,702 pounds, approximately 1,226 kilograms, becoming the Guinness World Record certified largest pumpkin. How on earth does a pumpkin grow to be as heavy as a small car? In reality, these giant pumpkins are mostly varieties bred from cross-pollinating Atlantic giant pumpkins. This type of pumpkin is also currently known as the plant that produces the largest fruit in the world. If you're interested, why not try growing one at home? Of these top vegetables, which ones shock you the most? Let me know in the comments. Remember to subscribe, like, and share. Global Best, updated daily. See you tomorrow.